Welcome to Studio 5. Here's what's ahead on today's show.
Best-selling author Annie F. Downs pens a children's book written from the pages of her personal story.
This little story I wrote is made our loss have some pretty deep purpose.
And Neal McDonough's life inspires him to write The Last Rodeo.
Is the most personal film I've ever done.
Plus, Lecrae reveals how he deals with anxiety and depression.
If you don't experience support, then you won't know that it's okay.
We are excited to share those stories and this week's countdown of the top 5 uplifting entertainment stories.
At number 5.
That cross says a lot.
What did it say about my grandmother? I keep losing people.
I wish I had the answers.
Redemption, purpose, healing, and hockey take center stage in Black Ice: The Rhythm, which begins streaming on Prime this Friday, May 16th.
You're gonna make the perfect coach.
Coach who?
You know black people don't play hockey. It's too cold in here.
This is the debut film for Detroit radio host Gerald McBride.
Just kind of doing my research on these different black hockey players and finding that there were only a few in the NHL, I was inspired to write a story, and I believe it was a God-given idea. And so I began writing this story, and just, when you get a story in you, it's like, you gotta get it out of you.
Yes.
We came here to see what's happening on the floor. Look at them skating to the rhythm.
We can win with something the other teams don't have, and that's the rhythm. The rhythm! The rhythm! The rhythm! The rhythm! Let's go!
At number 4.
Either John Foster of Louisiana, Brianna Nix from Texas, or Mississippi's Jamal Roberts will be our next American Idol.
We've done a really good job of putting people through that were incredibly talented, and that makes it hard at this point in the competition because people have to go home.
Now the fans will decide which of these 3 voices gets the title of American Idol.
Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection. Hugging and squeezing and kissing and pleasing together forever. Beauty and the Beast.
The countdown continues throughout the rest of the show. New York Times bestselling author Annie F. Downs has written a first-of-its-kind children's book. Where Did TJ Go? Explores death, grief, and heaven.
Sometimes Sam feels sad that TJ isn't at home. The Bible says there are lots of trees in there. Maybe TJ can ride on a giraffe. In heaven, TJ is healthy and strong. He can do so many fun things.
This book is dedicated to Sam.
Yes.
Tell me about Sam. I'm assuming Sam inspired the book. What happened?
Yes, my nephew Sam. He's perfect. At the time when I wrote this, he was about to turn 2. And my sister and my brother-in-law were pregnant again with my nephew TJ. And pretty early in our pregnancy, my sister Tatum found out that TJ was diagnosed with trisomy 18, which is a life-limiting diagnosis. So we knew at week 12, 15, end of first trimester, that TJ would not live. Unless God did something totally different, TJ would not live. We started really talking about how do we help Sam? No one has a book, Efrem. There's a couple that are mentioned, but nobody tells me this, this is the gospel-centric book for our family that helped with the loss of a sibling. And I was like, well, here we go then.
Wow.
So, you know me, Efrem, I don't make casseroles, but I can tell a story. I was writing a story for Sam. So then when TJ passes, a couple of weeks, months later is when Tatum started reading Sam the book. And then a few months after that, I sent it to my agent and I just said, hey, I don't even know if the publisher wants to put a foot in this because this is really niche. I don't know how many families it will need it, but we did.
What's been the response from people who've read it so far?
Oh gosh. Multiple people said, hey, I bought 5 copies. I don't need any of them yet. And the next day they say, one of my friends just had a miscarriage. I'm so glad I had this sitting on my shelf. So that's been the response so far. It's been really sweet. It's been really kind of people to tell us when the book matters to them. 1 in 4 women have a miscarriage. And so if you count miscarriages plus stillbirth or impossible medical decisions or death of an infant, that is a lot of suffering parents who are raising grieving children who've lost a sibling. So we wish it didn't. We wish nobody needs it. We are so thankful to be a part of the stories where families do need it now.
You've written a lot. How difficult was this particular book?
The first time I wrote it in the car that day was awful. And it was impossible to think about losing a baby. The more you work on it, the more you get to talk about it, the more you hear from families that have needed it, the more I feel strong in it. And I go, okay, this is important. This is important work. And so at some point it switches from this is for our family to this is for any family. But I'm sure glad that God is using our pain to serve other families. In the book, Jesus is reading a story to TJ, and it talks about, look, TJ can pay attention, he can read, he can see. And the illustrator drew Jesus reading TJ another one of my kids' books. So I just, as you can imagine, just sobbed when I first saw that and thought, what would it be like if my nephew is getting to read the books I wrote for kids?
If there is one, what's been the prayer for this work?
We just want, when I pray for this book, I want it to land in every hand that needs it. I say this humbly, you know me well enough, so this is the book. This is the book for families that they've been looking for. And you know me, I mean, I want people to know Jesus because of this. I want this to end up in people's homes who don't believe everything we believe. And then they go, if this is true, if this is available for TJ, is this available for me? And if this is where TJ is, how do I get there? When I get to heaven, I do hope people say, your work led me toward Jesus. TJ doesn't have 40 years to do that. He had 56 days. I hope people walk up to him there and say, your life got me here. Because of your life and Jesus, I found him too. That's what I'm praying for.
Where Did TJ Go is available wherever you purchase your reading material. Up next, Neal McDonough joins us to talk about his latest film, The Last Rodeo.
When I was going through my pain, I was making it about me, and I forgot about my family a little bit. I forgot about God.
At number 3.
It is the most extreme practical action ever filmed.
A behind-the-scenes look.
The philosophy of Mission Impossible is to transport an audience to a place they've never been, a place they may never be able to go.
Seeing it on IMAX, it invests you in that world. This is cinema. This is the experience that is defining for an audience.
At the latest and possibly last installment of the film franchise, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, before it hits theaters May 23rd.
What I love the most about these Mission Impossible films are the skills that you get to acquire while doing it. You know, I've learned everything from drifting, jumping out of airplanes, motocross, fights, weapon training and everything. I think that's the best part about it, but also being able to travel to these different cool locations and experience these different cultures and meet new people. I feel like I've been all over the world these past couple of years.
At number 2.
Christian music or music that Christians use to get their fix, just another hit of the clicks and views.
Dove Award-winning Christian rapper No Big Deal lands fan favorite in NPR's annual Tiny Desk contest for the second straight year, beating out thousands of other independent artists.
You're on this journey, I guess, hopefully, to be at NPR's Tiny Desk.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tiny Desk contest. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, just like even interacting with the people at NPR. They're great people, and kind of, even when you don't win, your music is introduced to this whole different audience.
Actor Neal McDonough has written his newest role. The Last Rodeo is the story of a retired bull rider who returns to the ring to save his grandson.
Dad, I don't want him riding bulls. Please don't encourage him.
Let's go! And
here with Billy Hamilton, champion of the PBR.
He's good.
Not as good as you.
Tell me, who is Mr. Wainwright? What's happening?
Joe Wainwright is kind of the everyman. It's, if you want to talk about the film, really, it's when your family gets fractured, when your family gets torn apart a bit, what are you prepared to do to build it back up? And the whole idea of this film came to me when I was doing a Western, and the idea of what would ever happen to me personally if something happened to my wife, LRae.
Wow.
And it kind of buckled me. And then this thought from above came into my head, write Rocky on a Bull for a grandfather that has to go back and save his grandson because he's suffering from the same brain tumor that killed his wife.
All right, Cody. All right, bud.
The souls of our sons.
It's just an amazing film that really speaks to the core values of the Heartland America. The Heartland of America is always about family first, me second. That's what America was built on. You know, my parents are immigrants. They came from Ireland. And it was those core values of hard work to make your family prosper, making sure it's family first over yourself. And when I was going through my pain, I was making it about me, and I forgot about my family a little bit, and I forgot about God a bit. You know, those are the things I had to find again. Every family has problems. I don't care who you are, you have to go through stuff. And the only way to get through that stuff is through hard work and faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your family, faith in God.
I can't afford it. I have no money. There's no way.
What was it like to revisit that time and tap into your character, to revisit your own personal struggle?
If it's a painful situation, I have to dredge up all the painful things that happened to me. You know, the cancer that I've had in my family, or the deaths that I've had in my family, or having everything taken away in my personal life when I wouldn't do certain things. So, you know, to relive those things, it's pretty hard. But Last Rodeo is the most personal film I've ever done because it's taking my real life problems that I went through and living it.
PBR Legends Championship is this weekend. $1 million for first place.
Have you lost your mind?
To have gone through the difficult things that I've had in my life happen to me, as we all have difficult things happen on, doesn't make me special. We all go through hard stuff in our lives. But it's through the faith and believing in Him that He'd pull me out of the ashes.
So what's your prayer for the project now that we're literally just days away from the release?
It's not anything more than if you love these types of films that go back to what the Heartland of America is really about, family values, with the energy of an action-packed film. That's what this is. But this is a great movie that calls you out a bit. It makes you think, okay, am I good enough dad? Am I good enough daughter? Am I good enough coworker? Am I good enough human being? Am I good enough child of God? Am I?
You could die out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PBR Legends Championship.
Let's root for each other a little bit more. Let's go to the cinema, have a great night at the movie theater, support this film and tell America we don't need just these big explosive films or these dark, crazy movies. We need films that are uplifting and talk to the real American family.
Here we go! Come on, Joe, get in! Get in! Get in!
The Last Rodeo hits theaters May 23rd. Right now, we want to release this week's story in pictures. Here's your Studio 5 snapshot.
It's an early look at a science fiction drama written and directed by Mike Flanagan and based on a novella written by Stephen King. It's called The Life of Chuck. It's 3 chapters in the life of an ordinary man named Charles Krantz, and it begins with his death from a brain tumor at age 39. The film won the prestigious People's Choice Award at the Toronto Film Festival, and it hits American theaters next month.
And that is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. And still to come here on Studio 5, hip-hop artist Lecrae opens up about his battles off stage with depression, anxiety, and alcohol.
People need to know that folks who have successful careers, who have families, wrestle just like they do.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Here's a look at the #1 story in the world of uplifting entertainment this week.
At number 1.
This Nazarene was a heretic.
It's a Studio 5 sneak peek at the new series Testament, an explosive, reimagined, modern retelling of the biblical book of Acts, being released June 8th, Pentecost Sunday.
Clearly this little, growing movement has new leadership. Bring them in.
How many more radicals are there?
I don't know.
Yeah!
What we keep getting from everyone is how much they love the scripts. And then seeing like some of these big scenes being acted out by these phenomenal actors. Like the crew are just, you know, whilst holding the boom or the camera, they're like, oh my goodness, these guys are great. So yeah, I'm really excited and I can't wait for you guys to see it all.
They didn't sound like ordinary men, Prime Minister.
They sounded like him.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. Hip-hop artist Lecrae has been open about his battles with mental health, dealing with anxiety, depression, alcohol, and drugs.
When it all goes dark, lift me up, lift me up, lift me up. When it all goes dark.
What makes you so open about your mental health struggles?
Because I know what it's like, you know, to suffer in silence.
Lift me up, lift me up, lift me up. When it all goes dark.
I went through a horrific kind of mental health journey, and it's something that I always have to manage for the rest of my life. And I think people need to know that folks who have successful careers, who have families, wrestle just like they do. And so for me, I want people to know, like, this is something you can do and you can push through.
Living underneath, so much pain I go through life with no relief.
What do you think is happening? These celebrities who seemingly have it all,
yeah,
and are bringing light to people,
yeah,
and
well, that's part of the reason why there's more silence, is because there's this idea that, well, I've got it all together, so I can't let the world see my vulnerability. It's like a cycle, right? The cycle of being vulnerable, having your vulnerability mocked, right? Because it's like, oh man, I'm really struggling, I'm depressed. What are you talking about? You're depressed. You got all this stuff going for you. So then comes anger, which is like an expression of sadness in a lot of ways. And that anger may lead you to do something reckless. And then sadness from your reckless decision, right? Maybe. And then then you settle into that depression. And then you're like, what's the point? And so I think if you don't experience support, then you won't know that it's okay to not be okay. And my support has come in the form of close friends and a godly therapist, and my wife, my God, who allow me to process those things internally so I can heal externally, instead of just standing in front of the world all the time like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and then going to my room and I'm like, I'm not good. So that's part of the issue. And obviously in the Black community, we are just turning a corner on destigmatizing mental health. Boy, ain't nothing wrong with you. You know, grandma used to say my nerves are bad. Well, now we know what that means. You know, talking about anxiety, but we didn't have the language for it. You know, I just got a case of the blues. That's depression. You know, these are neurological disorders that we need to address in our communities.
What do you say to the Black church? I'm a member of the Black church. What do you say to us in terms of being comfortable, being uncomfortable?
Man, we are amazing at acknowledging our downtrodden experiences and calling out to the Lord, you know, identifying with the Israelites in Egypt and, you know, singing songs of God got me out, he got me through. And I think let's just add this to the repertoire. Let's just add the mental health struggle to the repertoire of the things the Black church has to deal with. Because man, that's one of the gifts we have.
I've been on my own trying to fight tears off. It's hard to see heaven when it's hell down here. It's hard to see heaven now.
You can read more about Lecrae's story in his 2 memoirs, Unashamed and I Am Restored. You can also check out his candid conversations in his podcast, The Deep End. Welcome back to Studio 5. Music helps us to bring you this show, and this week's soundtrack comes from Eddie McKinney and Doe. Take a listen and you'll hear why Believe in Jesus is what's playing in my ear.
I believe in Jesus. I believe every word he said. I believe he's with me. He's the reason for every breath. Even if I stand alone, I'll let the whole world know. I believe in Jesus.
And on that musical note, we are just about out of time for this week's edition of Studio 5. So let's take a quick look at next week's rundown.
First row stage right. She's got a little surprise for you tonight.
We're breaking casting news in the film about singer Carmen as it moves one step closer to the big screen.
We're ready to go. Like we have, the script is complete. We've got our shooting schedule. Everything's done, and we know who Carmen is going to be. That's been the big question.
Please join us for that and more next week. As for this week, we've got time for just one more thing. Let's give the final word to Annie F. Downs.
When you are faced knowing that unless God intervenes, this child isn't going to survive.
Yes.
How intense is the love?
Yeah, we're so grateful we got 56 days with him. And so you just feel like every single day is a gift. And every night when I would FaceTime him, because I was up here a lot there in Atlanta, I would try to go down on the weekends, but I would FaceTime him a lot. And I'd just like, TJ, buddy, we're just going to sleep tonight. We're going to wake up tomorrow, right? We're all just going to wake up tomorrow. We're just going to have another day. We're going to keep going. And so the love plays out in the experience of if we are given one more day, how lucky are we?
Annie, thank you. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and for this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.